Hello, and welcome to another episode of, I don't know if I should call this series Rants and Raves or not, but it's going to continue to be that for a while. Today, I have a bee in my bonnet. So this does actually make it an appropriate time to be calling this a rant, because this is really a video about the embarrassment of a multi-trillion dollar company running the foremost website for a service that does not work and is just bad. You've heard me over the years, if you are a longtime viewer, complain about the state of content creation in general, in particular video content creation, and in particular using YouTube as a platform for content creation. All the way back in my very early days of coming up on 14 years ago, when I was starting out, the tools that were available then were pretty bad. And guess what? 14 years later, they're not better. They're actively worse, in fact. And the reason I haven't made this video, because I talk about it all the time, or I think about it all the time, and I try not to talk about it too much because it's a little bit annoying, is because this grows in scope so fast the moment I start talking about it. It's very hard for me to limit it down to here's this one thing I want to talk about. But I do have a bee in my bonnet this week because it hit me in particular with some extra special annoyances, and it's just an embarrassment how bad YouTube is as a platform from all kinds of perspectives, but especially as a creator who is trying to get anyone to see your content and have a good experience seeing that content. So I'm going to pare this down dramatically. I'm not going to talk about the money or the advertising or the cuts that people get or the way I used to be monetized and then they changed the goalposts so I'm not anymore, and how ads still run on content that goes all 100% to YouTube, and all these other like the copyright issues and all these other things where the creator is treated like a criminal and neglected and all these other things while they make enormous amounts of money for YouTube. But we're going to get past all that and talk specifically about things I noticed this week, because two things in particular happened. You will probably not be too surprised to hear, a significant amount of time getting my entertainment on YouTube and other digital platforms. And I have gone back, not in I don't want to say recent, but I have started watching more streams on various platforms, including YouTube. YouTube is not first and foremost known as a streaming platform. It's known as a video creation platform, but it has been vying for the position against Twitch. Everybody knows that Twitch is really at the forefront. There have been others that have come and gone, but largely they're insignificant in the grand scheme of the market. I used to stream on Twitch 10 years ago, and here's the difference. In the 10 years since I was last streaming, Twitch has gotten dramatically better, and it was pretty okay at the time. And in that same amount of time, YouTube didn't have streaming at the time, but YouTube streaming has been around for a while, and it is not as good now as Twitch was 10 years ago. And that is embarrassing, because Twitch was once the upstart, the thing that nobody ever thought was going to work, etc., etc. Meanwhile, YouTube can't make a platform that is good for any of the things that it competes for anymore. It's not good at the thing that it is the dominator for. It is not good at being a video hosting platform. It is not good at being a shorts platform where it's fighting against Instagram and TikTok. And it's not good at being a streaming platform where it's fighting against Twitch. And it's just embarrassing. The thing that set me off this week was a couple of incidents where I was watching streams and there were embarrassingly awful technical difficulties that were of no fault of the streamer. In one case, it was suddenly there was a massive latency spike that even from a technical standpoint, I can't understand how this happened. But the stream went from 5 seconds of latency to 120 seconds of latency. And I went going and panning around, and there are other streams having the same issue. How does that happen to your service? How is it so widespread? It's not like I I was doing a really careful analysis, technical analysis of this, but how does that wasn't the streamer, it was the platform. The same thing has happened, it happened this week, and it's been happening for a long time, is massive problems with the YouTube stream chats, which have gotten actively worse in the last couple of months, that used to be okay and have actually gotten worse. I say okay, but actually they've always been atrocious, and they have been changing technical features behind the scenes on how the chat is presented that have made it worse in the last few months. But in this case, chat just went down for like 5+ minutes for every stream that I could find. How does your entire operation, a multinational, multi-site technical operation, lose all of its chat features at once? How does that happen? Like, I get it if it's a subset of people, but no, it's the whole thing. And all of this would at least be a little bit more acceptable if there was transparency behind what's happening at YouTube. And I would have huge respect. Anytime somebody comes forth and says, hey, I did something wrong or something broke or whatever, I respect that, because acknowledgement of failure or mistake, that's the hallmark of trust. If somebody looks you in the eye and says nothing is wrong while you can see that something is wrong, that leads you to be distrustful, just in a general sense. And when it's a multi-trillion-dollar, the subset that is YouTube is a whole thing, but when it's a multi-trillion-dollar company, Google, that can't serve streamed video with stability and can't serve a fucking chat room, the thing that we've been doing for 40 years, 50 years. How long have we been doing online real-time chatting? It's been available in various forms for, I want to say, 50 years now. Technically, possibly more in very limited capacities. And how do you screw this up so bad? Is it just the money? Are you so deeply in the how do we monetize this that you've made this broken? So that's just the initial idea behind this whole video, and I've now rambled on more longer than I wanted to about it, because that's just the setup. YouTube has been a terrible platform to produce on forever. For me, as primarily a video creator, the YouTube dashboard, the YouTube studio, as they call it now, is an atrocity. It's useless. It has all these bells and whistles that do nothing for you. It doesn't have any good production features that I would want. Like, hey, can I see a calendar schedule of all the videos I have scheduled to go up? No? How is that so hard to make? Like, you literally have my list of videos in front of me. You saying you can't present that in a calendar format? Or the fact that the uploader itself is a tiny 800 by 800 pixel box inside your otherwise enormous window that you then have to flip through multiple pages to upload a single video, and none of your content is remembered, none of your settings, a few of your settings and content, but the times that you set, if you've got a series, there's no options. Playlists can't be done automatically. I can't upload screenshots automatically or in a batch. I can't even if you're wondering why my videos are titled the way they are, it's because I'm lazy. And because I'm lazy, I refuse to retitle every single one of my videos manually. And the reason I would have to retitle every single one of my videos manually is YouTube cannot process any, as far as I know, YouTube cannot process any punctuation in a file name. It just doesn't. Dashes, exclamation points, whatever, all has to be done in the interface. And that interface is so terrible to use that I'm just disgusted by the prospect of doing it. So all of my stuff is formatted the way it is, with the exception of a few videos like my movie videos, Solipsist Watch, because that's what the name of the file is. Because YouTube in this year, current year, cannot process punctuation marks. Huh? What's going on? Then there's the whole experience of YouTube is trying to pivot away from being a video hosting platform because it has discovered that is a dying industry for its monetization scheme, and that in its efforts to squeeze more money out of the video platform, they have actively made that platform worse. They've probably squeezed some extra money out of it, but they have actively made the platform worse. They are really only I'm getting into the monetization side, which is really not what I wanted to do. That's a whole separate topic. And put a pin in this because I will probably come back and do a longer scale video on the current state of YouTube. But instead of talking about that in particular and how they've ruined it with money, there are just basic features that are completely absent from the platform and things that don't make any sense that they have added. In particular, if you want to make a streaming platform, the point of a streaming platform is live streaming. That usually means that the streamer is interacting with the people they are streaming to. There is a live chat with which they can communicate. And currently, that live chat is broken and borderline useless. Because, for one, there's no chat API. You can't write any third-party anything for YouTube chats. If you want to write something third-party, you're basically actively scraping a web page. I'm probably getting too technical here, but you're basically actively scraping the content of a loaded web page instead of having a chat API like Twitch has had forever, because it's just a basic, it's a text box. It's a text feed. It's not that complicated. You just add a chat API on top of it so that developers can then write third-party things that can access that chat and send things back to it and use it back and forth. This isn't that complicated. It's not like a security risk. Twitch has been doing it forever and it works generally pretty well. I have my own qualms with how it operates on Twitch, but that's a separate issue. YouTube has no chat API. It's not usable except for in this tiny window. And for some reason, I would love to know the actual technical background behind this, because I'm not really a developer, and I'm not in any way developing for Google. So for some reason, in the last couple of months, like I mentioned before, the chat has gotten actively worse. And for some reason, now it does shit like, even if you tab out of the window, the chat stops loading, or it unloads itself completely. And so when you tab back into it, it reloads the chat. And because it has a very limited scroll back time as well, you may miss a whole bunch of stuff if you wanted to see what the chat history was like, if you have a pretty active stream. So because there's no history there, then you can't, you're missing stuff. You're missing out on content of the stream. And I don't know why they've set it up so it's like this active, the YouTube chat no longer acts like a chat, it acts like a video. I don't know how to explain it otherwise. You'll notice it sometimes if you go into a chat, you'll see the little YouTube logo loading and stuff like that. If you try and address that in developer console for the web page and stuff, you can't actually access the content that's in there. It's all scrambled and weird. I don't know what they're doing there. It's just very strange. But it's not an accessible chat, and it breaks all the time, and there's no ability for third parties to try and improve it either. Because if there's one thing that you should learn from all of the history of technical development, it's that leaving things more open leads to people making developments on your behalf. Very rarely does the scary thing that every developer worries comes to pass, which is that somebody, takes out their service or beats them to it, or beats them to a feature, or steals all their intellectual content or whatever. It's usually just that somebody's like, hey, I wanted to fix this thing, so I just did it. Here's a script. Everybody can use this now. And then if you're a smart developer, you go, hey, can we use that in our code? Or, hey, would you like to be hired on to fix this permanently and then also be a good developer for our company? But something has happened at Google, probably just been being an enormous company with an enormous amount of bloat and no real, like, it's just rolling around doing who knows what anymore because nobody's in charge. Because that's how the massive institutions with bureaucracy operate. Anyway, this is all me rambling to say that YouTube is a terrible platform for video uploaders. It's a terrible platform for streamers that breaks all the time because it's embarrassingly poorly developed. And then there's this other thing of this trend, and it is just a trend, of vertical videos and so-called shorts on YouTube, where they are pushing this and pushing this and pushing this, and then they are additionally neglecting their desktop experience even more because all of their development is focused on developing for the mobile experience. Now, allegedly, like 70% of users only use YouTube on mobile. That's wild to me. If you're watching this on mobile, let me know. And I get why that may be the case, but neglecting your core platform, kind of a bad idea. Also, probably means you're going to let stuff break that will be more of a concern to you than anything you were trying to be preventative about. Then just as a sidebar, this has gotten out of hand, but fuck it, we're going for it. The YouTube communities feature has been garbage forever. Everybody knows that Google can't make a social media website. They tried with Google+. They've tried over the years with a whole bunch of other things. They can't make a functional service that people want to use. And I don't know if it's just because they don't take any feedback or they don't take any influence from the other people doing the things they already do better than they do it, or what. But the fact that you can't even upload a picture to the community tab on the desktop site and get that full picture to show up. You literally have to right click, open the picture, and then edit the URL to get the full picture to open. That is how you have to do it, because nobody cares. It's completely neglected. And this is fucking embarrassing from a site that is worth this much and gets this kind of traffic. Do you have nobody looking after this site? Does nobody give a shit? Just tell us. Just tell us what's going on. Maybe it's spaghetti code. Maybe all of the developers who developed the original YouTube site are long gone and nobody knows how to fix anything, and you're just looking at a dead site that nobody can fix because nobody can read the old code and work new things and fixes into it. Maybe that's it. That's a perfectly normal thing to happen at a lot of development, a lot of places that do a lot of development. That just happens. Just be honest. But right now, the fact that YouTube is bad at the one thing that it's meant to do and worse at all the things it's fighting other companies to do better than them, it's embarrassing. Anyway, I'm tired of seeing creators get shafted when, even if they're not trying to make a single penny off of this, they just want to stream with they want to upload videos with stability, and they want with a decent experience that they don't have to fight, and stream with a stream that doesn't break all the time. I didn't even get to my comments about the actual quality. Did you know that YouTube does not support audio quality above 128 kilobits a second? That's atrociously low. Like, it could be worse. It could be 64 kilobits a second or like 96, but 128 is embarrassing. It's really bad. And especially when you're using these new codecs to try and like compress these things further. Audio down to 128, and the compression ratios that you guys use for lowering content to other resolutions, which have looked worse and worse year over year. I swear to you, it's a technical embarrassment.